Do you really think there's a cabal of millionaires out there who have the power to kill Jeffrey Epstein in prison and force the President of the United States to cover it up?
Well, when you say it out loud like that, yeah, I do.
Yeah, okay, and I do too.
A little bit warmer this afternoon, still cold in the mornings. Okay, now, do we keep going? Because laptop says I've got a little bit to show you. Some current affairs and some stuff that probably shouldn't forget. And then when we look at where we're at, chapter 17, something's happened in the last few days that would demonstrate an evil branch of people trying to play this out literally without looking at what was told of you through the use of a scroll and a pen. Now, they'll use this literally when Jesus spoke in parables. So I don't know whether we should look at chapter 17 today. Right? Because that will bring the burden of Damascus. Behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap. And Damascus was bombed by Zionist Israelis just recently. So we can see this chosen people. The ideology comes from trying to play this out literally, like an instruction book, when the instruction was something slightly different, which applied to every country around the world, regardless of their faith. These are foundations that allow you to play in holy seas. So do we go through chapter 17? Let's have a look at a clip quickly. I've got laptop here.
Here we go. We're going into the garage and we're going to get a surprise because I have never in my life seen anything like this. Like, what's happening here? Why are there so many doors? And then you have a nice 3-car garage and it's just door after door after door.
We saw at the very beginning, the Epstein thing won't go away. And we've discussed what Heffernan said about the country here in Australia. So let's have a look through some of these doors.
So let's open these together.
Now, through door number 1 is this thing called the use of the fruits. The use of the fruits. Usufruct. Administration under the rules of the use of the fruits. The rules of usufruct. Now, biblically, the use of the fruits comes down to agriculture, mining, forests, and fisheries. Who has use of what? Who has use of what? So have a listen to this young girl through door number 1.
And nobody noticed. All you rubberneckers out there are so entertained by what's going on in Israel and Iran that you didn't even see what was happening here. I'm sorry, I forget I'm talking to Gen Z sometimes. Rubbernecking is the term that we, old folks, used to use when you were watching an accident over there instead of paying attention to the car right in front of you. Let's back up. Last Saturday, the parade. Do you remember the parade? Okay. Do you remember how he had Melania stand right in front of him? In chess, this is known as the queen going in front of the king because she protects the king. Queen's Gambit, okay? If you didn't know, Trump in real life is actually like a master at chess, his favorite game. Still with me? Then did you notice the Golden Knight? Okay, and then did you notice the capturing of the flag? The envelope flag? And now there's 2 flags that were erected at the White House. In chess, flagging is when your opponent's time has run out. Does this remind you a little bit of that captured flag at that Pennsylvania post office? Do you understand the meaning of that one? If you don't, go look it up. But that's not even the most interesting thing. Go on to Google Maps, Apple Maps, whatever maps you like to use. Washington, D.C. no longer exists. That's right, D.C. no longer exists, okay? Now it's just Washington. If you think this wasn't well thought out, go look at the inauguration day. Go look at Trump's tie. Go look at Melania's outfit. Of course, everyone was too entertained by Ivanka looking like Serena Joy over there. You failed to notice the colors that Melania was wearing. Go have a look. When you start paying attention, you'll start finding answers. Just saying.
That was interesting, wasn't it? When we consider the rules of usufruct and the term usufruct legally. Who takes ownership of the use or rights? God or Mammon? In an indissoluble federal Commonwealth of Australia, how can that be dissolved? It can only be left behind and forgotten, not acted in. Ex parte. Sorry, not that. Ex officio. Out of office. Shut until someone sits in it again and starts it all up again. So it can't be dissolved. Not like door number 2 trying to dissolve a problem that keeps putting its ugly head in the mix.
Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for an American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the minute set?
Yeah, sure. If
Hey,
I
Pam,
could,
could I just interrupt for
Sure.
1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file, along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
That was interesting too, wasn't it? How these money men, these players that manipulate the minds of populations, try to control a narrative that isn't going away for them. They have done everything in their Zionist power to forget about it. Is it because of what the next door opens looks at? Let's have a look.
I think we have an absolute right to demand sensible answers. And the first question is, who the hell was Jeffrey Epstein working for? Why did Leon Black pay him $100 and something million for tax advice? Don't stop lying to me. It's not tax advice. I have an accountant. It's not that expensive. And like, what was this? And anyway, last thing I'll say, just as you're following along, my understanding as of 6:45 p.m. Friday is that this really isn't about sex as much as it's about the international and financial intel questions. That's what it's about. Those are we know Jeffrey Epstein was a sex freak. We know a lot of women were hurt. But what we don't know is why. And so I think it's fair, or at least I plan to going forward over the next week, as we're going to dig into this pretty hard, is to press those questions. Like, what was big picture? What was this about?
What are the questions you're going to ask?
What was this? Where do you? How do you go from being, a math teacher at Dalton to having your own private island in the largest house in Manhattan?
And so who is Les Wexner? He's alive, I guess, right?
Les Wexner is the former CEO of a company called The Limited, which is a massive clothing
Victoria's
retailer.
Secret or something, right?
Correct. Abercrombie & Fitch, I think, and a bunch of different
And he lives in Ohio
clothing
or something,
companies.
right?
He's the richest person in Ohio. Super impressive guy in a lot of ways. Very rich guy. And he wound up financing a lot of Epstein's life. And he's never been interviewed by the feds, ever. And so that's like right there. Who made the decision not to interview the guy who's bankrolling the whole thing? You arrest Jeffrey Epstein, but it's like, well, where did Jeffrey Epstein get the plane? I'm 56. I've worked 6 days a week my whole life. I fly on Southwest. Like, how do you get a plane?
He had.
So it's not about all of the in-your-face stuff. It's more about the links to all of these background groups and the money and how someone gets the use of a private jet and gets to manipulate someone's monetary and diplomatic circumstances. What's through the next door, I wonder?
Oh, there's no list, and by the way, he killed himself. I don't think anybody believes that. And I think the fact that nobody believes that and that everybody's lying is going to crumble the faith that people have in our government. Maybe that's intentional. Maybe that's what's supposed to happen. I don't know, but I know this. They ran on it. She talked about it being on her desk. She's on video talking about the hours and hours, the thousands of hours of video. Like, bro, these people are clearly lying. And for whatever reason, we don't know. And I think it's one of those kind of wait and see type things, but they did just put something out today that they said that the case is officially closed.
That's an interesting thought, isn't it? When we look at what's going on in the world, literally. So, will that go away? I don't think so, because there are links in the international world. There are links to all these locations, and those locations have police, judges, courts, governments. Those places have seats of power and not just government power, but monetary power. Chapter 17. The burden of Damascus. Behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap. The cities of Aroer are forsaken. They shall be for flocks which shall lie down, and none shall make them afraid. Forsaken, forgotten, given up, like the Commonwealth of Australia, while it's treated like a democratic republic of someone else's power. The fortress also shall cease from Ephraim, and the kingdom from Damascus, and the remnant of Syria. They shall be as the glory of the children of Israel, saith the Lord of hosts. Literal. Trying to play it out with nuclear weapons. Trying to play out super demise. Remember that movie where the kid tried to play war games with the computer? Hint, hint, at the chess side of the thermonuclear war that were the options on that screen. And in that day it shall come to pass that the glory of Jacob shall be made thin, and the fatness of his flesh shall wax lean. And it shall be as when the harvestman gathereth the corn, and reapeth the ears with his arm. And it shall be as he that gathereth ears in the valley of Rephaim. Yet gleaning grapes shall be left in it, as the shaking of an olive tree, 2 or 3 berries in the top of the uppermost bough, 4 or 5 in the outmost fruit branches thereof, saith the Lord God of Israel, of the sun, the moon, and the stars. Now, when we look at this 2 or 3 berries in the uppermost bough, 4 or 5 in the outermost, 6 or 8. Would that relate to something that's uppermost with outer sides? At that day shall a man look to his Maker, and his eyes shall have respect to the Holy One of the sun, the moon, and the stars. And he shall not look to the altars, the work of his hands, neither shall respect that which his fingers have made, either the groves or the images. Oh, look what I've discovered. How can you have what is said here to be, he shall not look to the altars, the work of his hands, neither shall respect that which his fingers have made. Made. Make something, discover how something works, step back and realize, oh, I'm just a small cog in the bigger game. In that day shall his strong cities be as forsaken bow, and an uppermost branch which they left, because of the children of Israel, the children of the stars, and there shall be desolation. Trying to tie to something literal that was created in 1948 is the mental problem that everyone has. When this was written in 1600, 1601, 1603, when this nation state on the ground didn't exist. So they must have been talking about something in allegory as a demonstration or example of how to be the Commonwealth of Australia through a stone of remembrance, our people. So if multiple countries around the world rely on the first 5 books, which is all the books of Moses, how can you then correlate this to being chosen by trying to war your way into what it speaks of, when then there can be confusion? Would that be a synagogue of Satan trying to undermine everyone around the world because they say they have some literal right to something that existed long before they did? Interesting, that. And then that right, used by lots of countries around the world to found and forge foundations to play in a game of kings. Interesting, that too. Because thou hast forgotten the God of thy salvation, and hast not been mindful of the rock of thy strength, and therefore shalt thou plant pleasant plants, and shalt set it with strange slips. In the day thou make thy plant to grow, and in the morning shalt thou make thy seed to flourish. And in the morning we shall remember them. But the harvest shall be a heap in the day of grief and of desperate sorrow. That $10 note said something about a nation or foe and our harvest trail. Woe to the multitude of many people, which make noise like the noise of the seas, and to the rushing of nations, that make a rushing like the rushing of mighty waters. The nations shall rush like the rushing of many waters, but God shall rebuke them, and they shall flee far off, and shall be chased as the chaff of the mountains before the wind, and like a rolling thing before the whirlwind. And behold, at eventide, trouble, and before the morning he is not. This is the portion of them that spoil us, and the lot of them that rob us. That rob us, spoil us. The spoils of... Let's have a look through another door, shall we?
Somebody was really into compartmentalizing.
There's a chance that this was created in a lab. There's an investigation.
A chance?
Well, but
oh my
if there was
God.
evidence, I'd love to hear it.
There's
I just don't know.
a novel respiratory coronavirus overtaking Wuhan, China. What do we do? Oh, you know who we could ask? The Wuhan Novel Respiratory Coronavirus Lab. The disease is the same name as the lab. That's just a little too weird, don't you think? Show me your business card. Oh, I work at the coronavirus lab in Wuhan. Oh, because there's a coronavirus loose in Wuhan. How did that happen? Maybe a bat flew into the cloaca of a turkey and then it sneezed into my chili and now we all have coronavirus. Listen to this.
Wait a second.
All right.
John.
Oh my God. Oh my God. There's been an outbreak of chocolatey goodness near Hershey, Pennsylvania. What do you think happened? Like, oh, I don't know. Maybe a steam shovel mated with a cocoa bean. Or it's the chocolate factory.
Interesting take on things there from a comedian. But then again, something else popped up on the radar. And I don't know whether this is satire or someone's reality. Let's have a look through another door, shall we?
I'm kind of scared. Like, I'm going to open one of these and something... Okay, so this one goes all the way down. Like...
All right, guys, so here's a timeline of events. This morning, I went to the shop to go get some water and some toilet paper and stuff for the shop. It's literally the Walmart that's right across the street from my house. I was there walking down the aisles, and I heard people starting to scream, scream at the top of their lungs. And then I started seeing people run. So I ran. On the way out, as I was listening to other people that were coming out of the store, they were saying that a man attacked a woman and he was biting her. So I left.
Hell yeah.
At 2:30, the mayor of our little town got on the news and said everything was under control and asked anybody that was in the store to please notify authorities that you were in the store just to make sure everything was okay, whatever. And I was in the store, but I'm not letting anybody know that I was in the store. Absolutely not, because who knows what the hell is going on.
Now you
About 20 minutes ago, we heard that the lady at the hospital wound up attacking people inside of the hospital. Okay? I have no idea what happened to the guy that was inside the store, whatever. I don't even know what the hell is going on, honestly. We've been having state troopers, we've been having ambulances constantly, non-freaking stop. Watch the last video. It's crazy. It's non-stop. We have National Guard at the store built up. They have like a little center over there. Apparently, it's quarantined over there. Apparently, the hospital is quarantined. People are starting to get worried and nervous. Like I said, I live in a little tiny town, and everybody's starting to find stuff out. People are starting to let their imaginations go wild, and it's getting to be scary. Like I said, there has been so many sirens the past 2 hours. It's unbelievable. So I'm going to the store, the corner store. I'm going to go get a bunch of water, go get some supplies, things that I might need, because we might be in the middle of a zombie outbreak. I know it's crazy to say, but, dude bites a lady, ladies biting other people, now they're quarantining shit. It just put 2 and 2 together. You know what I'm saying? This is 2025. We know what the fuck zombies are. So pay attention. See what's going on in your neighborhoods. Watch for things, you know what I'm saying? Because it might not just be here in my little town. It might be expanding. Viruses spread quickly, especially depending on if it's airborne or not. I don't think it's airborne. I figured maybe if it was airborne, I'd be sick by now because I was in such close vicinity. Could be bloodborne. Could be bites, scratches. I don't know yet.
Let's go backwards in time now and have a look at where we started to fall apart. You shall know them by their rainbows. I think Queen Elizabeth II made statement very clearly. You shall know them by their rainbows. They're 6-striped rainbows that miss a colour called indigo. Roy G. Biv, Blue, Indigo, Violet. Chapter 18. Woe to the land shadowing with wings, which is beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, that sendeth ambassadors by the sea, even in vessels of bulrushes upon the waters, saying, Go ye swift messengers, to a nation scattered and peeled, to a people terrible from their beginning hitherto, a nation melted out and trodden down, whose land the rivers have spoiled. All ye inhabitants of the world, and dwellers on the earth, see ye, when he lifteth up an ensign on the mountains, and when he bloweth a trumpet, hear ye. This would sound like some re-establishing of something, right? This understanding who you are as a people and going, that is who we are, and blowing the trumpet. It reminds me of pa-rum-pa-pum-pum, I have no gifts to bring, pa-rum-pa-pum-pum. He just goes away playing his drum. For so the Lord, all caps, said unto me, I will take my rest, and I will consider in my dwelling place like a clear heat upon herbs, and like a cloud of dew in the heat of harvest. We have a time frame coming around for harvest time. For afore the harvest, when the bud is perfect, and the sour grape is ripening in the flower, he shall both cut off the sprigs with the pruning hooks, and take away and cut down the branches. They shall be left together unto the fowls of the mountains, and to the beasts of the earth. And the fowls shall summer upon them, and all the beasts of the earth shall winter upon them. So we now have a flip, a 180-degree turn from winter to summer to winter to summer. In that time shall the present be brought unto the Lord of hosts, all caps, and a people scattered and peeled, and from a people terrible from their beginning hitherto, a nation meted out and trodden under foot, whose land the rivers have spoiled, to the place of the name of the Lord of hosts, all caps, the Mount Zion, to the place of at the stone of remembrance, in a king's domain, as we've discussed over time. That's chapter 18. But let's have a look through another door quickly.
Like,
so this right here is the first time I looked at the Pfizer vials with Dr. David Nixon under the microscope. So you see this metallic background noise, and no, this is not Brownian movement. These are actually biosensors. They're blinking lights that look like quantum dot technology. They change colors and they emit light. And they actually work to self-assemble this metallic structure here. And so then the next step from there was Dr. David Nixon had this drop of the Pfizer vial dry under the microscope, and it was developing microchips, including these connection cables that were considered by our electrical engineer and nanotechnology engineers that we consulted with as possible optical communication cables between these microchips. So then what happened was that in the vaccinated blood, unusual structures were being seen that certainly looked very similar to these hydrogel filaments. And they also had a very close resemblance to Morgellons or cross-domain bacteria that, for example, Clifford Carnicom, who is actually present at this call, has been researching for more than 30 years. So what happened then, I actually had the honor to be a research partner of Clifford Carnicom, and we did a lot of different tests together. But one of the things that I also evaluated was not just the clots of those who had passed away from the shots, but Richard Hirschman, the embalmer, sent to me embalmed blood of somebody who was deceased more than 8 months ago. And I looked at this blood under the microscope, and I found exactly the same filamental structures that we see in the regular blood. And the other thing that I filmed was continued self-assembly. So what you can see here is this embalmed blood, and right here, these round spheres continue to move. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. And you see that they are filled with these what's called micro-robotic structures that are blinking lights. Actually, they're emitting light. And if I just move this forward here, this is right now at 4 minutes, you can see how rapid the self-assembly continues to be, even though this individual is deceased. So this goes along with actually the finding in regards to the MAC address phenomenon that other colleagues around the world have found. By the way, this right here is a little metallic object, exactly like we saw in the Pfizer vials. And so, for example, there were doctors in Ecuador by the group of Komusav who went to evaluate the MAC address phenomenon that the vaccinated were emitting, and even found that there's continued emission after death from the graveyard. So this right here is a 4,000 times magnification, and you can clearly see this is a red blood cell. So the approximate size here of these blinking lights is maybe 500 nanometers. And because the diameter of a red blood cell is about 5 to 7 microns. So you can see that that certainly they're moving, they're mobile, and they're changing colors and emitting light frequencies. So quantum dot technology, which is used for biosensing application, does exactly that. It changes colors from red to blue to green. And through that is emitting certain signals and encoded information. And these nanosensors are exactly used within this intra-body area network.
Now, what if these self-building supercomputers, because we're talking nanotechnology here, and if they can build chains and start to emulate computers down to a transistor, then we can align all these transistors into CPUs, can't we? And they could be so tiny, they're as big as a blood cell. So they'll float around your body. So what if these self-replicating computers are electrified by the body and are active rather than passive? Let's have a look through another door.
Okay. They obviously built this on after, because that's your panel right there.
Is it a common practice to have streetlights with hidden stingray devices?
From Futurism.com. In many cities across the U.S., it is legal to install these surveillance devices in lights without even alerting residents.
Uh-oh. Alexa, how do stingrays use RF data?
From TeenURL.com. Stingray devices mimic legitimate cell towers to trick phones into connecting, allowing them to capture sensitive data, accurately geolocate users, and potentially intercept communications.
Uh-oh. Alexa, how do stingrays use RF frequency to break encryption on SMS messaging?
Stingrays, which are devices used by law enforcement to intercept cell phone communications, mimic cell towers and trick mobile devices into connecting to them. By doing so, they can intercept SMS messages, including their encryption keys, using the RF frequency. As a result, they can break the encryption on SMS messaging.
Tisk, tisk, tisk. Alexa, how are RF pose neural networks used to create a geofence?
RF pulse neural networks are used to create a geofence by integrating all the information from different sensors into a single, more accurate distance to obstacle reading. This reading is then used to generate a 2D occupancy grid map that considers all sensor information and defines the boundaries of the geofence.
2D occupancy grid map. That means they know where you at. Alexa, how are RF frequencies used in mimicking keystrokes?
RF frequencies are used in mimicking keystrokes through wireless keyboards. Keyloggers, designed to intercept keystrokes, capture the RF signals between the keyboard and its receiver. This allows the keylogger to simulate keystrokes and potentially capture sensitive information.
Alexa, how do RF frequencies use the body's water content to track people?
Ooh, that was a bit scary. Let's have a look through the next one.
So they framed in.
I still gotta try this.
People can't tell. You can't say that these people aren't giving off these MAC addresses now. You really can't. So I'm back, yeah, on the field, yeah. It's about 9 o'clock at night. I'm in the same place where I was the other day with the players, with the under 12s training day thing. So look, there's no numbers here now. So you can see this. Picking up nothing here. You can see where I am. We've got this moulding cell thing that came up last time. That must be something inside this. There's like a warehouse there. You can see that nothing's coming up. Look, no numbers. Okay.
That's a bit interesting, isn't it? What if that was the truth? What if that was the goal of this rDNA? What if we jump through another door quickly?
A whole lot of storage. I bet there's a water heater or something.
This is me at the airport. Look how many chip people there are.
Does anybody know what app this is?
If anyone
Like
wants to
showing
count
the
them, you
connection
can.
and everything.
I don't got time. It looks like at least 100. I say more than 100. It's actually ridiculous how many there are. Oh look, that one's got a real strong signal. Jeez, bro. Well, there it is. Enjoy.
So that one puts this into a whole new ball game, doesn't it? Given that your water of your body is relative to how things change around it. Right? How things change around it. Now, a lot of you aren't that technologically advanced, but what I've just heard and what he has said is very relevant. We're talking about computer technologies now that can't be seen, radio frequencies. Let's have a look through another door.
On this side, look, there's plugs.
If you've ever given your DNA to 23andMe, you should probably go and delete that right now. This morning, it was announced that 23andMe filed for bankruptcy and that its CEO, Ann Wojcicki, was resigning. 23andMe is, of course, the DNA testing company. They said that this morning, 23andMe shares dropped more than 50% in early trading after the company filed for bankruptcy late Sunday, blah, 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 shareholder value, whatever. Here is what's actually alarming. Quote, 23andMe's global database has grown into a virtually unprecedented repository of human genetic information that can now be sold in bankruptcy proceedings. That's right. The privacy statement of 23andMe says that, quote, if they are involved in a bankruptcy, merger, acquisition, reorganization, or sale of assets, your personal information may be accessed, sold, or transferred as part of that transaction. So what does that mean? Well, it means that the DNA that you've given them could be scooped up by whoever and used in all sorts of crazy ways. Things like maybe cloning you without your permission. Your DNA could be sold to malicious actors who could then use that DNA and leave it at crime scenes that you were never at. Of course, bioweapons is always a possibility. I mean, okay, those are admittedly kind of crazy examples. Maybe they won't happen. But then there are those mundane use cases that probably will happen. One of which is insurance companies using that DNA data to deny you coverage, which is something they definitely love to do. So if you don't want that, here are the instructions on how you can delete your data from 23andMe. Pause to read.
Oh, remember that? Yes. Remember that? What did you think was going to happen in a world where the Kraken comes and takes everything for itself? Did you think these mega corporations would outlive their masters? Of course they would. End up getting bought out and bought out again and then bought out again. So what happens to all that data, all those records? New master, new master.
Plug right there.
Oh, Jamie! Jamie, no! Oh my, no! Oh my.
Okay, so we found nothing substantial.
What do you know that most people don't?
Ask the question again.
What do you know that most people don't?
What I know is as follows. I know how to make you remove the veil from your third eye. That's what I know.
Maybe that's part of the problem. Respecting those that offer to show you things that you might not know. Can you draw it with a scroll and a pen? Can you lay out its parts? Can you start to define its meaning? Could you get to that resolute position of standing in some sort of capacity at law? How's this apply to the law? So I know something about a stone of remembrance. I know something about how this is connected. Greater love hath no man. Was it John 15:13? Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you. Would that stone command you? Is the country saying, ye are my friend? Is the city saying, ye are my friend? Defend? Greater love hath no man than to lay down his life for another. So I know something about a stone that started the foundations to a constitution at law. whereas the rest of the world wants to play like this. Let's open that last door. Till next time.
Okay, so we found nothing substantial, just a lot of storage, but how freaking crazy is it?
Can I help you? Hey man, we need you for World War III. You've been drafted. Fucking loser.
Now all of this takes time and patience and editing and all those difficult things. So your support and your help has helped us get to this point, and we need your continued support to keep growing further. It's a little bit more than trying to put together a YouTube channel when we're talking about the very foundations of our people at international law, and not just ourselves, because these rules tend to apply to all peoples so that they can live on the same grounding together, saith the Lord of Hosts, all caps. So if that Lord of Hosts applies to other faiths around the world, are they pulling the same foundational grounding rule set from their own faith that would make them equal on that playing field to the other nations that played by these rules? First in time, first in law, and a line of authority in the matter to hold rule of law, right? Which would then allow the judicature under the Constitution to hold law in that line of authority. That would also lean towards a defense force or military force being wholly tied to that line of authority. In what do we defend? Defenders of the Constitution or defenders of the faith?
Hi, sir. You've been drafted.
Fuck no. I've been in 6 wars already and 25 tours total. And look at where the fuck it left me.
Use the links below and donate if you can. This will help us continue to do things like our veggie gardens, like our support for things around town, like our video creation, like our research, which I don't like to do, but it's the only way to get across to all of you, finally, it's not about law in an international world when a body of people are who they are. So all of your help gets us to move forward so that we can stand up and speak properly and then eventually file in a courtroom. And this is what you should all be doing right now, rather than sitting there and going, oh, they get away with it all the time. Maybe actually put together a case and charge them for something and see them go through the pressures of having to uphold the law instead of avoid it all the time. But there's a larger thing here in that a body of people have been manipulated, poisoned, tortured, used as debt fodder, cycled around in this machine continuously, and without a care in the world for the actions committed by those in office. So at some point we get to an understanding that this applies to your country, the Commonwealth of Australia. This applies to your Constitution, and it's for a reason that you're still awakening to discovering rather than playing I'm the best in the courtroom all the time. But this law says this. Well, show me your scroll that you drew with your pen. And then we'll come to some kind of understanding that you might awaken to the fact that you won't find these things in a law court. You might find them somewhere else before that law court even has a line of authority in the matter. So that's where we eventually want you to awaken to. So as we keep stepping through this to speak to you, all of your donations are helpful because eventually we get to go places and sit down and talk with people and grow this out, because it's not about fighting them. It's about pointing out who they are, what they've done, and in doing that, you will see the cleanup of things because of their lack of authority in the matter.
Hello, sir. Your sons have been drafted.
Listen, I support y'all, but I don't give a fuck. We already have a civil war with these damn liberals.
So keep showing that support. Jump down into the comments and chit-chat with each other. Drop your evidences and talk about the things that are going on around you. Jump on the links below and chuck in a donation, and then we can keep moving forward. And then share some things between each other. Even go onto your own and talk about things that you're awakening to. Because the only way forward as a people is to take those steps and help each other and grow as those people and affect and influence out rather than trying to fix what's on the other side. It's unfixable. You need to be what you were supposed to be at law. And only doing that will you see remedy. There is no remedy in trying to fight them for an answer. The answer is in all of you doing charity, helping each other out, growing up as a foundation, and giving something out from within. And then you'll see change. That's when you'll see things start to turn, because look at what's going on around you on an international stage while someone tries to make a literal claim over this instead of explain that claim, which would be upholdable at law. That's why all those other countries have now turned around and said, no, enough is enough. And going after the little puppet master that created all these problems in the first place. And what they'll find behind that is someone else pulling strings.
Hey, sir. You've been drafted to...
You know I'm your fucking boss, right?
What the fuck?